Bootube, recommended channel for you. That's what I saw on my YouTube feed. It looked harmless enough, as I looked through the thumbnails below. It looked like some sort of weird, cheap, ghoulish puppet on a black backdrop. I love, or rather loved, goofy old shit like that, as my subscriptions to the Everything is Terrible and the new Uncle Gregory Horror Hour channels could attest to. So, why the hell not check it out? I clicked onto the channel. The logo looked cheap enough, like something of a first-year web design student would cobble together with a pixely JPEG of that weird ghoul and a title done in Comic Sans. The phrase, "we all like to watch," was written beneath it, as if it meant some inexact innuendo. I pressed one of the videos, titled QQA 27, and a video popped up.
Greetings, Fradies and mental men.
This was the first time I looked at him very closely, in that shitty video quality that looks so real it looks cheap, if you get my meaning. His face looked like some leering, distended mix between Ghostface and Mr. Punch, spray painted a shiny metallic silver, likely taken from the mold of some rubber, overpriced Halloween mask, repurposed to create this crappy puppet. His lips flapped barely in sync with the words he spoke. The rest of the puppet looked no less cheap either, a red cloak-like shroud with the two arms, obviously the gloved hands of the puppeteer, sticking beneath the desk where the thing sat. Air from what I presumed was a cheap fan billowed beneath him, presumably to make it look, oh, so spooky, you guys. Seriously. The ugly thing continued.
Today, we've gotten track of a very special video, a showing of what happens when one whistleblower hears another whistle a-blowin'.
Its voice had a screeching nasal quality to it, like that one guy from the old G.I. Joe cartoons. Then there was a jump cut to a stark, grainy video, obviously a low-quality camcorder rip, taken from what looked like a hilltop. It was of two men, one wearing a crude green monster mask, and the other bound and gagged, and tied between what looked like train tracks. There was a much clearer silhouette movie in the corner of the video of what I assumed was the host, watching like the peanut gallery at a theater.
I've heard of someone getting run out on a rail, but this is ridiculous.
At that awful pun, the sound of canned laughter came from all around him. The man in the video struggled against his binding, with muffled screams obviously captured on a crappy microphone.
Looks like it's time for him to complete his training,
the host said smugly. Again, more canned laughter. Two lights on the track came into view.
Looks like our guest of the hour is poking his headlights into this fellow's business. But what locomotive does he have? Let's watch.
Just as suddenly as the shitty puppet host said, a train came into view, and in a split second, it plowed right through the man on the tracks, a wet meaty sound coming from that shitty microphone intermixed with the train's whistle.
Now that's what I call a Gresto stop tour.
Holy shit. Those were not special effects. I'd seen special effects before. I had also seen real deaths on film before, with none of the splatter or rubber intestines, just a crunch of steel through bone and meat, and a subtle squish of gore and blood. I pressed pause on the video, and that's when I noticed something in the windows of the train. A passenger train. As it passed by, all of the passengers were wearing the same green monster mask as the person who tied the man onto the tracks. Every single one of them. All of them looking straight into the camera. Holy shit. I was watching a snuff film. Probably for some sort of fucking insane death call that had somehow wormed its way onto YouTube. Jesus Christ, this was horrible. I immediately clicked the flag video button, but nothing happened. Only a tab popped up. I clicked on it. It looked very crude, like something out of a 90s Angel Fire or GeoCities website. But the website was written in some sort of novelty Halloween font that I couldn't copy. The background was a clip art of a GIF of a dancing skeleton repeated over and over, with that same crappy JPEG of the host in front. And there was text below it that read,
"So, you thought you could give us the axe, did you? Give it your best stab? But you did a real cut-rate job of it. Maybe you should bury the hatchet and stop trying to cut to the heart of this matter before you slice off more than you can chew. Or should that be our sliced off?"
I closed the tab. I couldn't believe it. These motherfuckers were not only running a snuff film operation in plain fucking sight for whatever shitty pun death cult they're running, but they also had the gall to break into Google so no one could whistleblow on their operations. I couldn't do nothing, so I hooked up to a VPN server, turned on the necessary security programs, and turned on my video capture program. By God, if I had to take this thing down myself, I would. But first, I'd have to get evidence. I attempted to take a look at that previous video. It wouldn't play, and most of the methods I tried took me to that stupid warning site. Fine, play it your way. I'll capture the rest of your shit. Next video I looked up on the channel was titled 304AR. I pressed play. That stupid fucking puppet popped up yet again.
Greetings, Fradies and mental men. Tonight, we have s'more special footage for you. Yes sirree. It's going to be a bonfire tonight. Though, for this poor schmuck, it's looking more like a boned fire. Because you'll like to watch. Now don't you?
The video switched to the same shitty quality of video as before, but this time in a dingy basement. The poor subject this time was a woman tied to a wooden chair, rope holding her from head to toe, and her mouth gagged with rags. She looked wet, covered in something oily and acoustic.
Boy, this looks like it could be a real gas.
That fucking silhouette, the host said. That laugh track's still there. I swore as he spoke. I could see something twitch in the background. A cat? No. Those legs looked too long for a cat. As I was thinking about this, something lit a trail of gasoline. The fire spread far slower than it should on raw gasoline. The woman struggled and kicked in fear, and even through the shitty microphone I could hear her muffled screams.
What's wrong? I thought you could use a spare pyre.
The thing in the background shimmered a little. It was looking more like a man, but human limbs didn't move like that. Human limbs didn't glow like that.
Well, at least his should bring out a whole new flair in your style.
The fire inched ever closer. The man-cat thing in the background twitched even faster as flames licked down its body. Finally, she burst the light all at once. I felt like I was going to vomit, seeing her skin scab and peel and burn, and burn and burn and burn, as she kicked against the ropes that refused to yield. As her flesh burnt deeper and the gag fell apart, I could hear her screams, louder and louder.
I guess we should rename him Bernie now.
That stupid fucking puppet said, laughing uproariously at his own joke as the canned laughter howled along. The thing in the background just looked with its white, hot eyes. I couldn't shut off the video fast enough. I switched to another video. Special effects, I thought. The cat thing must be a special effect for whatever death cult they're running. Cam's razor demands it. God, I wish that was the case. The next video was titled 70AL5.
Greetings, Fradies and mental men. Today's entry is especially inspired. An entry so beautiful that it makes me want to sting. Let's watch.
Flap that ugly fucking puppet through its ugly fucking lips. The picture shifted to a dingy, one-room, seemingly abandoned apartment. Some grainy video, same shitty mic. This time it was a man tangled up in what looked like thick gooey ropes, more of which were strung to the apartment in an angular maze-like pattern. He was struggling, trying to get out the gooey strands entangling him.
Don't rack your brain too hard trying to get out, guy. You might hurt something.
Suddenly, something crawled onto frame. A spider. No, it only looked like a spider. But spiders didn't have shaggy hair like an 8-legged mutt. Spiders didn't have blunt, human-like teeth. Spiders didn't have only 2 human-like eyes.
Boy, what bug got up his butt?
Quick, that lyric puppet host as the victim-to-be was yelling curses at the spider. It wasn't a puppet. Puppets could never move that fast. Puppets never moved that freely. Puppets couldn't wrap people up in silk as they struggled, screaming and gasping for air as it looked into their eyes with cold cruelty.
Whoa, it's too early to call it a rap, buddy.
It scuttled, pausing and looking about. Then it sank its human-like jaws into the squirming, wriggling cocoon. Green, sizzling spit oozing out of its chin as it tried to chew it in deep. Deep red blood trickling slowly out of the wound until the wriggling slowed down, then came to a stop.
I guess you really wanted something to venom on.
I pressed pause as the spider started sucking, but then I noticed something. There was a mirror where the film was taking place, in which the camera was reflected, but there was no one behind it. I spent the rest of the night looking through and recording the rest of those fucking videos, until about 2 a.m. As I looked through them, trite intro after trite intro, more weird things of that horrible puppet host. Like how that cloak of its moved in sync when it talked. How it's sometimes added, because you all like to watch, now don't you, to the end of its quip monologue. No matter how shoddy and fumbling the gloved puppeteer of the hand's movements were, you never saw his uncloaked arms. How sometimes before the monologue, he'd just be staring at the camera or talking to someone just off screen. And the deaths. Oh God, there were so many. A few of them were mundane. Power tools, blunt instruments, heavy machinery. But most of them were monsters. Monsters like anything a Roger Corman could have shit out, or worse. Monsters like a man-eating piano with cow's legs, a giant crab filled with piranha-toothed human babies, a cloud that turned into a giant man-eating worm, a great pink razor-tongued washing machine spewing out endless organs, septic filth, and those were only a few. I think that I've stumbled onto something far more insane than I originally thought. I was about to go to bed when I saw something come up on my window. A new video from the channel, a live stream, in front of my door, with that horrible fucking puppet. It was auto-running.
Welcome, tradies and mental men. I'm afraid we have an intruder in our show, trying to cut us off. But don't you worry, tradies and mental men. We're not going off the scare yet. In fact, we have a very fleshful treat.
He grabbed a knife from off screen, dripping with some dark brown, blood-like liquid, and gestured towards my door.
We're going to have a nice stalk with our interloper, and you all get front row seats, because you all like to watch. Now don't you?
I looked behind me. I could see the door rotting in front of me. I could feel a foul wind blowing through the cracks, vomiting the decayed timbers on top of me. As it turned out, the thing's knife was covered in chocolate syrup, like in the old horror movies. But the thing wasn't a puppet. Puppets didn't flow like cloth through the air. Puppets didn't float on a wind from nowhere. puppets didn't have an endless, gnawing darkness floating behind them. Puppets didn't drool chocolate syrup in their mouths in anticipation. It stalked towards me, bonelessly flowing, face contorted into that horrible leer. And as it came, it said,
"Nice to see you."
and I laughed.